two teams. One is北师, the other is the Nankai. Right. So begin the round. Let me introduce the jury today. So I am Wen Wenyu from Zhongyan University. And on my right is Professor Lin Li from Zhongxin University, and Professor Zhou Huijun from Nanjing University, and Professor Wang Yinlong from Nanjing University. And we will have captain in two teams introduce their members.
Well, from Beijing Normal University, and here are my teammates and the captain. He is Shi Kai, 段宁泽、丁书崇 and 南家文静. Thank you.
We are from Nankai University. I'm Mark Yu. This is Zhang Xingjian, Xu Huiyan, Wang Yizhan. It's a pleasure to have a study discussion with you.
Okay, so we need to determine the team A or team B. So I'll do the Roxy the paper. We're going to do it again at the same time. Okay, so.
We choose A.
Okay, A is北师and the B team is Nankai. So please prepare your report. Okay, so team A will have a 10 minutes report. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Hello everyone. Let's talk about balloon airhorn. First, let's review the problem first. So a simple airhorn is on the picture here. This device can produce a sound. We need to investigate how relevant parameters affect the sound. Here's our device. Okay. And let's look at the keywords. First, balloon. Remain as the vibration of balloon cover, and parameters can be tension and area density of the balloon cover. And tube parameters can be length and diameter of the tube, container and hole. Parameters can be length and diameter of the container and location and size of the hole. And sound and parameters tell us what we need to do. Okay. Here's my outline of speech. We did some experiments first. Then we built our theoretical model. Then we verify our model by doing experiments. Finally, I'll give summary. Let's review the whole progress. The air comes into the hole, then leading to an unbalanced air pressure on balloon cover's two sides, and the balloon cover starts to vibrate, and the air column in the tube vibrate too, and which produce a sound. We record the sound and operate it by Fourier transform. Then we get this diagram. From this diagram, you can see not only basic frequency here, but also multiplication of higher frequencies. So here I give two videos. Okay. Besides, we change the location and size of the hole, then discover that the frequency of the sound don't change. That is to say, location and size of the hole are not irrelevant parameters. And based on what we observed, we infer that our theoretical model has 2 points. First, vibration of balloon cover, and second, vibration of air column. And relevant parameters can be those 7 points. Length and diameter of the tube, tension and area density of the balloon cover, length and diameter of the container, and blowing speed. Here's our theoretical model. First, free lateral vibration of balloon cover. It's a wave equation here. And the second, vibration of air column in the tube. Vibration of balloon cover is a boundary condition in the vibration of air column. So separation of variables is used to solve these equations, and we use boundary conditions and initial conditions. Then we get this result. And the third atom is relevant to the frequency of the sound. And from this expression, we need to know A2's expression. We need to calculate A2. We compare the balloon cover to a spring oscillator, as you can see here. And we calculate A2's expression here. And we take A2 into the frequency. Then we get the result of our final theoretical model here. Those parameters is shown here. So before our experiments, I want to show our design for you. About method, we control other factors not changed, just to change those 7 parameters just mentioned separately. Then here's our device. We use gyre to change the blowing speed and blowing speed, and the cardboard cylinder as the container. We use mobile phone to record the sound and operate the sound by Fourier transform. Here's our formal experiments. This is the order. We first investigate how blowing speed affect the sound, then length of the container, then sound length of the tube, and so on. First, blowing speed. We change the blowing speed and discover that with blowing speed increase or decrease, the basic frequency mostly don't change, as you can see on the picture here. So blowing speed is an irrelevant parameter. Second, we investigate how length of the container affect the sound. It's similar to blowing speed, as you can see on the picture. Here's 3 cans of balloon covers, and with length of the container increase or decrease, the basic frequency mostly don't change either. So length of the container is an irrelevant parameter too. And third, we investigate how length of the tube affect the sound. We change the length of the tube from 15 centimeter to 45 centimeter, and we choose different 3 different balloon covers, and we gain this result here. As you can see, length of the tube increase, the basic frequency decrease, but with 1/4 length of the tube increase, basic frequency increase too. That is to say, the relationship between 1/4 length of the tube and the frequency of the sound is linear. However, according to our theoretical model, there shouldn't be a y-intercept here. So what's going on with this? Then consulting reference, we know in wind instruments, the length of the tube has modified by this formula. D is the diameter of the tube. So we follow this example of a wind instrument. We use this formula to modify L, length of the tube. Then we get this result. From this diagram, you can see the y-intercept is closer to 0. However, in this formula, there's the diameter of the tube D fits this formula. We need to verify it. So we get this result. We change the diameter of the tube. Then, as you can see in the diagram, diameter of the tube increase, basic frequency decrease, but with diameter of the tube, 1/4 diameter of the tube increase, basic frequency increase too. So D fit this formula. And the relationship between them is linear. Fifth, we investigate how tension of the balloon cover affect the sound. We choose different test balloon covers and measure the force F, as you can see F. And according to tension's definition, we know tension equals to F over 2 multiply radius of the tube. Then we get this result. From this diagram, you can see tension and frequency square is linear. Last, we investigate how diameter of the balloon cover affect the sound. We need to change our radius of the balloon cover only and keep tension unchanged. That is to say, we need to keep A constant unchanged. A equals to delta x over radius of the balloon cover. Then we get this result. From this result, you can see with 1 over diameter of the balloon cover square increase, basic frequency of the sound square increase too. So the relationship between them is linear. Finally, we did some error analysis. First, measuring error from device. Second, when the system is stable, we need to keep the tube and the balloon cover just in touch. If not, little error will exist. Third, balloon cover's degree of fatigue and not equally distributed will bring little error too. Let's make a summary. Our question has two parts. First, theoretical model, vibration of balloon cover and vibration of air column, and we did lots of experiments to investigate those parameters. We investigate blowing speed and the length of the container, location and size of the hole, length and diameter of the tube, tension and diameter of the balloon cover. How these parameters affect the sound is shown on the formula here. Here's our reference. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so we will have a team lead. Get ready and start.
Hello everyone, I'm Bangko Yu from Nankai University. Today I will go report on problem number 2, balloon and air horn. First of all, let's have a review on the problem. Scratching a balloon over the opening of a small container or cup with the tube through the other end. When we blow through a small hole in the side of the container, it will produce a sound. What we should do is to investigate how the relevant parameters affect on the sound. This is my list of the relevant parameters. The main parameters are the flow rate for air inlet and the length and diameter of the inner tube and actual deformation and the materials of balloon membrane. My reports include pre-experiment, pitch, loudness, timbre, and conclusion. The first part is pre-experiment. The equipment of the experiment can be set up by the indication of the problem. We can use a compressed air cylinder to provide air to the whole equipment, and we can use a flow meter to test the flow rate. And the phone can record the sound, and we can use the program Audition to analyze. We also prepare balloon of different membrane and plastic cup and acrylic tubes of different lengths and diameters. This is some phenomena from my experiment. This is the change of the pitch and loudness. For example, when we just talk about the flow rate, when the flow rate raises and the pitch is become lower and the loudness is become larger. The second part is theory and experiment. When we talk about sound, we need to investigate it with pitch, loudness, and timbre. The first part is we need to investigate pitch on fundamental frequency. First of all, let's have a definition for the pitch. We just talk about pure tone. Pitch is the reciprocal of period. But when we talk about the polyphone, we need to talk about its fundamental frequency, which is the lowest frequency. The vibration include membrane vibration and air vibration. The first part is the membrane vibration. We can divide the membrane in two parts, which is area 1 is inside the inner tube, area 2 is outside the inner tube. At first, the entire balloon membrane ballooning, and then the middle part of the membrane is dented. The air vibration have two ideal models, which is a closed pipe and open pipe. When there is an open endpoint, it exchange air and energy with outside, so there is an antinode. When there is a closed endpoint, it can't do that, so there is a node. And this is a function of frequency of standing waves. The membrane can be considered as a flexible surface. So there will be a phase adjustment at there. So there are flow in between open pipe and closed pipe. And there are odd harmonics and even harmonics in the tube at the same time. The flow rate of air inlet and surface tensions of membrane will have effect on the membrane vibration, and the length of the inner tube will decide the air vibration, and the diameter of the inner tube will have influence on the connection between air vibration and the membrane vibration. So these are the parameters we need to investigate on. The first part, we just talk about the air vibration. The results from experiment are not similar to the simulation. That's because there is a phase adjustment at the connection part between the tube and the membrane. So we consider it as an extended length. So we can see the results from the console. We can simulate the nonlinear process with console, and we can see it matches the experiment well. So we can have a conclusion. When the loss is larger, the pitch is lower. And this part is the relationship between diameter and the tube and pitch. We can see that from the picture from console, there are fluctuation at the edge, which is because the membrane vibration and the air outside to influence. And we can have the results from the experiment that when the diameter is larger, the pitch. This is a part of the relationship between flow rate and pitch. When the flow rate is large, the sound is low-pitched and noisy. When the flow rate is low, the sound is high-pitched and clear. At losses, there is no sound. So we can have the conclusion, the flow rate declines, the pitch rises. We can define the actual deformation like this. Actual deformation distance like this. And when the D is small, the period is long and the frequency is low. And when the period is, when the D is large, the period is short and the frequency is high. And when the actual deformation is larger, the pitch is higher. The second part is the loudness, which we can investigate on the sound pressure level. This is the results from the experiment, which is the relationship between flow rate and loudness. We can have the conclusion that when the flow rate is larger, the loudness is larger. This is the relationship between diameter and loudness. The higher harmonics loudness decreases slowly, so we can analyze the max of the first 10 sound pressure level. This is the result from the experiment. And in the results from simulation, we can have the similar results, which is the diameter and the loudness is not directly related. This is a part of relationship between actual deformation and the loudness. When the actual deformation is larger, loudness is larger. The last part is the timbre, which we can investigate on the frequency distribution. First, we can take a Fourier transform to the function of sound pressure and time. And this is the definition for the sound intensity. And this is the definition for the sound spectrum level, and it will influence by the membrane vibration and the air in the tube. This is a function of resonance frequency. And when there is an obvious resonance frequency, the sound is clear and bright. And when there are a variety of frequency, the sound is loud, low, and the cloudiness. There are incident and reflected waves in the tube at the same time. And we can define the timbre with sound pressure, energy density, and strength. And the velocity of sound in the air, the density of air, the ratio of max sound pressure level of incident and reflected waves will have effect on the three things. And the ratio can be defined by the ratio of amplitude and phase difference. We can have a simple experiment on this. We choose different materials of the membrane, which is balloon and the plastic wrap. Because they have different phase difference, because they have different elastic modulus, and the sound are different. The sound of the balloon is sharper, and the sound of the plastic wrap is husky. So let's have a conclusion. We can investigate the sound with pitch, loudness, and timbre. And this is the results from experiment and the simulation. When the length is larger, the pitch is lower. When the diameter of floret is larger, the pitch is lower and loudness is larger. When the actual deformation is larger, the result is opposite. And all of this and the material will have a reflect on the timbre. This is my references. That's all, thank you.
Okay, so each team have 2 minutes to prepare for the short question. Okay, hands up. Now we have Team B, and you can ask the question to Team A.
There is just I have the best. The first question is, do you know how to describe the sound? You all know that sound have 3 elements.
Yes, we consider the pitch and the timbre in our appendix.
Oh, no. Okay. What's the mode of your air vibration?
Air vibration.
Air vibration.
It's wave function. Yes.
Did you consider about which is the connection between the membrane? How did you define this?
We consider that vibration of the balloon cover, as you said, that's membrane. It's a boundary condition. It's a boundary condition in the vibration of L curve in the tube. Yeah.
How can you choose the fundamental frequency? Let's say you say the basic frequency.
We operated it back Fourier transform. Then we get the basic frequency.
But the fundamental frequency is the lowest frequency of it.
Yes.
Did you?
We can hear. We also can hear higher frequencies. we can hear, and mostly it's basic frequency, but we also can hear. Yes, sometimes.
We will consider about the timbre. We will consider about the harmonic frequency. It's just
What?
harmonic frequency. Harmonic frequency.
Higher frequency, right?
Yes, it's higher frequency.
Just as that, it has higher frequency, and you can see that's frequencies. That diagram, the first diagram.
What's your equipment to provide air to the whole experiment? Provide air? Does it use mouse?
No, hair gel. Just I had introduced to you hair gel. It has 15 steps.
We will just consider about the tensions. The memory is not uniform. What do you consider about this?
Tension.
Tensions.
Yes, we consider tension on the balloon cover, right? We just introduced
But how do you know the
Concept. Okay. So now it's female, right? The question is B.
So first, I want to ask you, what's the sound source? Is the balloon cover or air column?
the couple of them, the coupled vibration of balloon membrane and air.
Okay, I understand. And is your page 22? You investigate the diameter of the, I don't know whose diameter, the tube or container?
The tube.
Okay, so did you consider the?
Just in the appendix, in the
Okay.
author.
Then we talk about it later. And what's the shape of your container? Is cylinder or other shape of the container?
The silver container is just in this one. Oh, no. It's just like this. The container is a plastic cup.
And what about bound? Oh, okay. What you just said? Sorry. What you just said?
It's a plastic cup. Plastic.
Okay. And what's the boundary condition of your balloon cover when you do your?
I think it will just provide a phase adjustment for the air vibration, and I don't think the membrane vibration is just the whole things vibrate together, and I think it's divided in two parts, and the entire one is flowing together, and the middle part will have a
Okay.
vibration.
So when the sound producing, did the balloon cover and the tube touch each other? Touch.
Not all the time touch each other.
So your okay, we talk about later. And so about the standing wave in the tube. Well, the in tube two cells is both closed or both open or others.
No, a closed pipe and open pipe is just ideal models. The model is falling between the two models.
Okay. Intensive. So we have 2 more minutes to prepare for discussion. 第3队是到了，但是我想应该旁边就差不多，是不是？Okay, so now we have any discussion.
Maybe we can just start with the evaluation.
What's your question?
What did you think of the balloon vibration? Do you think how can you evaluate the balloon?
Balloon. It's a wave equation. I can hear. As you can see on the. So. Yes, it's a vibration, and your concrete question is.
Do you think the whole membrane will vibrate together, and they don't will divide it in some areas?
Yes, I think it's I can consider it for. Yes, because when the sound is producing and the balloon cover and the tube, they are just in touch, so it can consider as one part.
But in my experiment, I found there's some change point in this. You can see from the fluid and the air inlet, there will be a part that's very obvious.
So I just mentioned that what's your conclusion when the sound is producing. You said your membrane and the tube is just in sometimes touch and sometimes not touch, right?
Yes.
So why the whole progress why you can consider is 2 parts?
If the tube is always touched with the membrane, how did the air go into the
Yes.
tube?
So they are just in touch, right?
Yes, I think they're attached too. And I think the membrane will just blowing together and the middle part will dented alone. So there will be a change point at it. And it's obvious in the part of this video.
I think it's
Our model is different.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just consider another question.
I want to ask you about the pitch. How you qualify the pitch?
We just use the fundamental frequency. We choose the lowest frequency of the from the audition.
And about our experiments, we consider the musical quality and loudness. We all know that the sound has 3 parts: frequency and loudness and musical quality. And only the frequency is.
Musical quality means tenor.
Yes, we just to understand easier. And these 3 factors decide the sound, but there is no concrete physical quality to describe
Frequency distribution.
loudness and timbre. So how did you
I define the pitch with fundamental frequency, And you said it's basic frequency.
Yes.
And I define the loudness with the sound pressure level.
Yes, that's amplitude, right?
Is in this. Is in this. This is function. This is the definition for the sound pressure level. It's the root mean square value of sound pressure amplitude.
But about its loudness, did you consider the distance and the blowing speed? The distance, yes, because if the air balloon is in there and we standing here and listen.
We record the sound on the left or and right on the table of the whole equipment, and we just use the Q1 to have an average of to define the loudness.
Okay. So about loudness, we talk about its distance and the energy we give it. That is blowing speed. So we consider two points that will affect the loudness. One is the distance, and second is we give it the energy. That is blowing speed. So we consider these 2 points. And what about talk about our?
We also talk about the position of the hole, but it have no effect on the.
Yes. We are the same. We consider the location and the size of the hole. Did you consider it?
Size, but I didn't put the size inside. The shape of it. Of this.
So yes, we use the cylinder as the container. So did you consider about the shape of the container?
This is the shape.
Just one candle, right?
Two.
And what questions can you ask about
And I have a question for how can you just to make sure you have the uniform of the memory. And we have a very simple techniques for this one. And I want to introduce this for you. And first we can just draw a circle on the unopened balloon membrane. And then we can just put it on the plastic cup. And the shape of if the shape of the circle is unchanged, and we can think it was uniform. And
yes, I consider it's right. As we know, if the analysis or analysis, if the membrane is not equally distributed, then the error will exist, right?
I didn't show the functions from my console, so this is the theory I used, which is Helmholtz equation and the NS equation, and this is the parameters in the functions. And this is my parameter I used in the simulation. And as
yes, simulation. We
yes.
We have a question to ask. Just I mentioned that what's the boundary condition of your simulate the whole program, the balloon cover? Because we know that if there the boundary condition is not steady, then the problem can not solve. So how you stimulate the whole program as balloon cover?
Just answer for this one. Finish answer.
Stimulate. How you stimulate the balloon cover? Boundary about its boundary condition. Balloon cover's boundary condition. How you stimulate?
I just think it's materials with, and we just set it elastic modulus and the Reynolds ratio.
I guess you didn't.
Okay, I think time is up. Yeah. Okay, so you have 3 minutes to prepare for your reviewing and conclusion. 技术人员那个投影机好像失焦，右边这一台。你可以把一个投影线放上去一下，把一个影像放上去，这样看起来最好，来稍微。好了，是吧？好，我们要reset一下。OK，可以了。Okay, so time is up. We have Team B, Nankai, to do a conclusion first. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. First, let's have some admire my. And I think their PPT is very beautiful and clear, and their theory is clear to understand. And they use a simple dynamic models to explain the whole process. And in the experiments, they have lots of parameters to consider about, and the error analysis is objective. The second part is the discussion. We discuss lots of theory and experiment on this part. And I mentioned part of the change point, and we can see the way the memory vibration in this GIF. And but I want to impress you that the sound need to investigate with pitch, loudness, and timbre, but because of the time is limited, it didn't mention your timbre. And this is my conclusion from my experiment. And I use the console to use some equations to simulate the whole situation to fit my experiments. Because the later I didn't find out the boundary from my console, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't. And that's all.
So we have teammate, 北师, give your review and conclusion. You first put on the screen first.
about team B, some disadvantage. First, who's the source of the sound? You can't have a clear conclusion. And thank you very much. And while flow decline pitch increase, the pitch increase and the loudness decrease. And about your boundary condition, that your theoretical model is not clear. And okay, that's about our both of us. Our theoretical model is a little bit different, but the conclusion most of them are the same. But about your boundary condition of the stimulate about the blue color is not clear. And about here's I'll talk about our theoretical model and experiments. Yes, and I find that our blowing speed about yours and ours is different. You said your blowing speed will affect the frequency, but ours we investigate is not. So, but we didn't discuss that. So I'm very regret, and the time is limited. Yes. And about your advantages, you use various experimental equipment and whereas to do about abundant experiments and match very well is very good. And when discussion focus on difference on details is very good. So, okay, that's all.
Okay, so we have a question from the jury.
Maybe I just want to know the air vibration or the turbo vibration or the container vibration. Which is the sound source?
Course, right?
Yes.
Our theory is vibration of the tube, the air column in the tube, and vibration of the balloon color is just a boundary condition in the vibration of the tube, the air column in the tube. Right?
Now what about the air vibration?
Yes. L. In essential is air column in the tube, which produces the sound. Okay, thank you.
So
I think
the question for you, awesome.
it comes from the air vibration and the coupling of air vibration and membrane vibration. The sound is good.
The turbo vibration is the turbo vibration. Turbo vibration is helpless.
Tube vibration.
Yes. Vibration.
No, I don't think it's listen.
Any more questions from the jury?
One question for Team B. You mentioned that the flow rate will affect the pitch of the sound.
Yes.
Could you give me any theoretical model to explain that? Why? Why does the flow rate will affect the frequency of the sound?
I think it's because of the energy.
So could I ask this problem?
Sure.
About blowing speed. Blowing speed just give energy to the system. They will change the loudness of the sound, but blowing speed can't change the frequency of the sound.
Okay. Thank you. Any more comment on that?
But it will influence the membrane vibration to some extent, so this will have an effect on the air vibration too.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a question for Team A, Lei Shi. I think you're transparent. You mentioned about this acceleration, just like a screen model. You have this
Yes.
cartoon picture. So, but you also show that in your experiment result, you have many high frequency notes, that's the harmonics. So, can your spring model explain those kind of harmonics?
It's a eigenfrequency of the equation, so it has more frequencies. But the half frequency is the multiplication of basic frequency.
Did you have your formula here for harmonics in your transparent? You do the harmonics, yeah, the frequency, higher frequency. Did you have the?
Yes, we can hear that.
Then I mean in your equation, can you see that?
Yes. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Just in the formula here. It's natural. Sorry. It's natural number n here. It's shown on the frequency.
So my question is, can this be modeled by a simple spring model, or you should have the, because that's a non-linear terms. So like this, so this simple spring model, this spring-based system may be not able to explain the harmonics. But usually the spring-based system can only have one natural frequency.
So you have about that expression?
So each of the frequency you change the n letter, right? Capital N.
Yeah, we
for harmonics.
We just choose equals 1.
Okay.
That's it, basically.
So maybe the same question to Team B.
This is a function of our harmonic frequencies. This is a function from our harmonic frequencies. And this is the theory.
The capital N represent and the lowercase n, what's the difference?
The max energy frequency is related to the frequency of the vibration.
No, I'm saying that in your equation, what is the meaning for the capital N or capital N?
I remember it's the big number, but I didn't put it in the
It's not just an integer, supposed to be. This is go along with the lowercase n. So if I want to look at the second harmonics, which n I should put in here?
Second?
Yeah, the fundamental and the second harmonics, or first harmonic, for example, the higher frequency, first and higher harmonic.
We just invested on the fundamental frequency.
Yeah, so, but I asked you that I want to get harmonics, I want to get a high frequency. So I want to get, for example, maybe you can help. Yeah.
The function outside is the old harmonics, but and low one is the even harmonics equation. It's just choose the integral number.
Integer number.
Integer.
Yeah, I know, but which number you choose? For example, for harmonics, first harmonic.
For example, n equal to 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, yes, this is a function.
Maybe another question. Since Ting asked you, but you don't have time to answer, or you missed the question about the boundary condition.
I said I didn't find out the boundary condition from the council. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. So any more question? Jury? So maybe we take a minute to break. Okay, so we are ready to show the grade. So first, grade for the Team A, 北师. Please show your grades, Julie. So we got 8, 7, 9, and 9. Then we have the grade for Team B, 南开. So the grade would be 7, 7, 8, 8. Okay, we thank all each team and very thank you and our audience. I think the Chen Gongting, the captain, is here. Maybe you want to make some apologize.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so they didn't give up, but they are late. But unfortunately, in the formal competition, that shouldn't be done. You shouldn't have done mistake, right? So you have an early section, maybe 2 days later, or maybe Sunday. So make sure you are here on time, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's we maybe have some long break because we finished this show very quick. So next round will be start from 11. Okay. So now we have a break.